Welcome back to another episode of Clash of Cultures. As we continue along with our college football preview series, we're taking a stop at Kansas State and looking at the Wildcats. As always, before we get into the football, make sure you guys like, comment down below what you guys think of our takes, our opinions, what teams you guys want to see. But most importantly, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to make sure you guys don't miss an upload. We're uploading every single day, previews of every team. We're going to start getting into conference talks, all the other good stuff, Heisman, playoff predictions. So make sure you guys are sticking around with us if you guys are liking the content. But with all that being said, Dad, how do you feel about Kansas State, and what is your prediction for them this season?
Yeah, so it's funny. I don't think a lot of people remember that Kansas State is the team that actually won the Big 12 last year. Obviously, a magical season for them, and they were able to beat TCU, the team that eventually went to the national championship game. So that 2.9% chance to win the Big 12, to me, is a little crazy.
Disrespectful.
You think it's respectful?
Disrespectful.
I thought you said it's respectful.
Major disrespect.
This is the team that won the Big 12 last year. And when you look at kind of what they're bringing back, and again, and we'll get into rosters, but when you look at some of the key positions they are bringing back, now, I'm not going to say they're not losing. They definitely are. When you look at some of the transfers they are getting, I don't think they're going to win the Big 12 this year. I'm not predicting they're going to win. But I think 2.9% chance to win the Big 12 is very, very disrespectful, like Steven said. What's your thoughts?
So they have them at 7.4 and 4.7, so pretty much 7 and 5. We'll just call it 7 and 5 because it's leaning more towards that way. FBI ranked number 27. Like you said, they won the Big 12 last year, so I'm not sure how they were ranked number 27. And they lost obviously a few key pieces, but I think that's kind of low for them. I'm gonna start this video off with a hot take, a bold prediction. Kansas State, in my eyes, is the biggest dark horse for the college football playoff in the country this year. And let's just go to the next slide to talk about the people they lost. The guys they got. So obviously they lost Deuce Vaughn. A big story. He was their everything last year. They lost Felix Anuduke Uzoma, obviously defensive end, Julius Brent to the draft, and Josh Hayes. They brought back their quarterback in Will Howard. Serviceable quarterback, 15 touchdowns, 4 picks, about 1,600 yards. But I think what's going to be the deciding factor for this team this year, they returned all of their offensive linemen. Every last one of them will be coming back this year. And this offensive line with Deuce Vaughn was the second best rushing attack in the Big 12. You bring over Trayshawn Ward from Florida State. He had 600 yards and 7 touchdowns for them. I think you plug him into where Deuce Vaughn was. I'm not saying he's going to be the same talent Deuce Vaughn was, but we were running around behind a veteran offensive line who just won the Big 12 the year before with a quarterback who just won the Big 12 before. I think he can fit into that role. Ben Sinnott, the tight end for the Wildcats, he was second team All Big 12. The defensive end, Khalid Duke, first team All Big 12. Christian Duffy, first team All Conference. Cooper Beebe, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. He was first team, and he was offensive lineman of the year for the Big 12. So they're going to have a stacked offensive line. I'm thinking top 5 to top 10 offensive line in the country. Again, Will Howard doesn't need to be a Heisman candidate. He could be a game manager. I've said that before for other teams and other quarterbacks. And I think this team has a chance to not only win the Big 12, but like I said, they're a dark horse for the college football playoff. You brought over Keegan Johnson from Iowa, Marcus Single from North Dakota State, and Javon Banks from Mississippi State. I think this team is going to be not only a sleeper team, but I think 7 and 5, like I said, is very disrespectful for this team. And just before I let you go, the recruiting class as well was a phenomenal recruiting class. I mean, top 40 is, I think that's going to go up after a Big 12 conference win last year. And assuming they do decent this year, I think that'll be better. But this quarterback, this 4-star quarterback in Avery Johnson, I'm sure Kansas State fans know this guy's name. But you guys remember this guy's name. He's going to be nasty. He's a number 3 dual threat quarterback in 2023. And I think Kansas State, if they had a guy, like a true guy at quarterback, they'd be a contender every year in that conference. So what do you think about what they lost, what they gained, and how you feel about their roster build?
Yeah, so as I wanted to talk about on the last slide, the concern is Deuce Vaughn meant so much to this team on offense that the fact that obviously he's gone is a little bit concerning. It's really a matter of, can they replicate the 1,500 yards they lost when Deuce Vaughn went to the NFL. If you guys seen the great story with Deuce Vaughn getting drafted by the Cowboys, really kind of heartwarming story. But and I don't think it just has to be Trayshawn Ward, but between him, DJ Gibbons, can they find that 1,500 yards in additional production that Deuce Vaughn meant to this team? If they can, then I think this team, just like last year, can be special. I like what Keegan Johnson brings to this offense. And again, maybe that helps offset some of what you lost in Deuce Vaughn. But the concern is when you lose the star of your offense, the guy, the motor, the engine, there's going to be some concern. There's going to be. And I think that's fair. And then on top of that, I think they lost just about everybody in the secondary. They lost almost their entire secondary. And we mentioned here Julius Brinson, Josh Hayes, but they lost a number of players in the secondary. So there are some things defensively that cause some concern. Now, again, I still think the predictions are disrespectful. I think that this team is going to be better than people think, and I wouldn't be surprised if they find their way back in the Big 12 championship. If Trayshawn Ward can be 2/3 of what Deuce Vaughn was, and they can pick up some production from a couple other places, to include maybe Will Howard elevating his game a little bit, especially now that he doesn't have to worry about Adrian Martinez, and splitting time with him.
So before we get into like the schedule and the predictions and everything, just a little side note for that recruit, the 4-star quarterback, Avery Johnson. They signed him over schools like Oregon, Florida State, and Tennessee. And that's kind of odd when you think about, a quarterback of that caliber, of that rank, going to a team like Kansas State, when other teams that are, I would say, light years ahead of them, roster makeup wise, you chose a team that's lesser than those three. I mean, those are just three teams that I highlighted. There was other teams on there as well that he chose over them. But that's a step in the right direction for Kansas State. And hopefully Avery Johnson kind of helps that. But I'll go first with my prediction. I'm going to say this. Out of all the previews that we've done, 20-something odd previews, 30 previews.
However many, yeah.
I don't think I've given out more than like 3 or 4 12-0 ceilings. I'm almost positive. And we are now in preview, like I said, 30 or 31, however many. So it's not like I'm choosing Georgia to go 12-0 and like, oh, that's something crazy. I'm choosing a team that was on the list of 30 of us making these previews, and they have a 12-0 ceiling in my eyes. I think the floor is 7-5, so that's obviously it's a pretty big gap. But I think when you look at the schedule, I think they have a good chance to win every single one of these games. Obviously, I have them starting off 6-0. The UCF game might be a bit of a trap game, but I gave them the edge because it is a home game, and it is UCF's first year in the Big 12. So I think Kansas State might be a little bit better overall than them. So I did give them the edge. I have them losing to TCU. A lot of people gave disrespect to TCU this year, including myself, until we sat down and did the preview. And I think TCU is going to be decent as well this year. And then I have them losing at Texas and then Baylor. I see you have them losing Texas and Baylor as well, but then you flip-flop the two games. So how do you feel about your prediction, or my prediction, I guess I'd say, and why you chose Oklahoma State instead of TCU?
Yeah, so I think your prediction lines up with my floor, right? I went back and forth on that TCU game, and this is kind of some of the things we've talked about. My concern, or where I gave them the edge against TCU, is the fact that they get to play at home. Where I had them losing against Oklahoma State, and again, I suspect that game's going to be a shootout, is the fact that they have to go to Stillwater. So that was I both of those games I went back and forth on, and both of those games help encompass my floor, because I think that this team can beat both of those teams, but I think they could lose to both of those teams. In my prediction, though, I literally just went by in two games that I think are going to be very exciting. I went by giving the advantage to the home team.
Okay, and also, so when we look at their schedule, do you think a 9-3 Kansas State team could get into the Big 12 title, or do you think? Because obviously,
Yeah,
I'm assuming you have Texas as your favorite to win the Big 12.
I
I'm
do.
almost positive.
So I truly do, because I think that the Big 12 has a bunch of good teams. And what I mean by that is the Oklahoma States, the Baylors, the Oklahomas, the TCUs. Those are all teams. I think they're going to beat Kansas. I think those teams are going to beat up on each other a little bit. And you may be at a place where you have a good team with 3 losses as the second best team in the conference. And, the Big 12 does the same thing with the 2 best teams in the championship. So, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked by that at all.
Yeah, I think it's almost like the Pac-12 in my eyes. Like, there's so many good teams, and the games are going to be so competitive that anybody can win on any Saturday.
Yeah.
So I think 9-3 realistically could get you into the Big 12 title. I mean, I'm pretty sure last year, what was Kansas State's record heading into? Matter of fact, we can go back
I
and
think
look.
you got it on the first slide, yeah.
Yeah, so they were
9-3.
9-3 heading into the conference championship game. And they ended up winning it. So
Yep.
that kind of aligns with it. But as always, if you guys like the video, Kansas State fans, I'm sure you guys are gonna like our ceilings. You might not like our final predictions being 9-3, but you guys made it to the conference championship 9-3 last year, so I feel like that's a win. But as always, make sure you guys comment down below what you guys think. Comment what teams you guys want us to see, and be sure to subscribe, man. We have another giveaway coming at 1,000 subscribers. We already gave away 1 Heisman Award winning jersey. You could be the next person to get that next jersey. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. And always tap in with us. But we'll see you guys next time.